Bonjour, je suis Madame Barben et je suis professeure de français ici à Campiel au collège et aussi au lycée. So I'm Madame Barben and I'm the French teacher here at Campiel Middle School, High School. I teach levels 1 through 5 and French 1 starts in 8th grade, which is why you're watching this video to decide if French is the class that you would like to take starting next year when you're in 8th grade. So I've made this video to give you a little bit of information about myself, about the French program, and about world languages in general, and also some information on travel. And I put some videos that students made as well at the end. So hope you enjoy. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. So just some quick info on who I am and my French credentials. I'm a graduate actually of Campiel High School. So I started my French career right here in this building, not in the classroom I teach. Actually, I took French in what's now the Latin classroom, but just fun fact. I was a French minor in college. I studied abroad in Aix-en-Provence, which is a beautiful city in the south of France. I went back to school after I graduated from Gettysburg College to essentially get a French major from Shippensburg University and a teaching certification at the same time. And then I went back to school after that for my master's degree in French and curriculum and instruction. And that's also from Shippensburg University. And I've been teaching French here at Campiel Middle School, High School for approximately 10 years. All the classes here, the world language classes, are structured the same way. We offer levels 1 through 5. Level 1 begins in 8th grade, and level 5 can be taken your senior year, and both level 4 and level 5 classes are honors classes. French, Latin, German, and Spanish all meet every single day. So on day 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. My advice to any student is to pick the language that they feel speaks to them. The goal is that you become fluent in the language, and you can only do that through years and years of study. So picking something that appeals to you, picking something for the right reasons will give you the best chance of sticking with it and the best chance of becoming fluent in the language in the future. You may be interested in French because you have a French connection. Maybe a parent or a family member comes from France or a Francophone country. Maybe you have a special connection to music or film. Maybe you have a friend that you've met or a football team or a soccer team, I should say, that you follow. Those are all great reasons to pick French. I picked French in high school because I thought it was a beautiful language, and I was always impressed by people that spoke the language. No matter what language you choose, you'll make connections, you'll have unique access to different cultures, different viewpoints, film, music, as I've mentioned, just, things that aren't translated from French into English. All of that information, all of that content is accessible to you when you study the language. Moreover, just some facts about French. Here's a map that I use with my students to illustrate that French is spoken all over the world on every continent. French is spoken in Quebec, which is in Canada, and not too far, about 10-hour drive from where we live. French is, of course, spoken in France and the countries that surround France, like Luxembourg and Belgium and Switzerland, sorry. So those are all countries that border France, and France's borders have changed over time, and therefore those countries are also Francophone, they're French-speaking countries. And Africa has the largest growing population of French speakers as well. There are 321 million people who speak French in the world today, and that number is supposed to be around 820 million by 2050. And that's because in a lot of countries in Africa, for example, the birth rate continues to increase, and so more and more people are speaking French. Other fun facts are that French is the second most studied language in the world. It is the 5th most spoken language in the world and the 4th most used language on the internet. So there are lots of great reasons to take French. One of the many reasons could be that it is just, it's a prolific language, it's a spoken language, it's a relevant language, and no matter where you go, you will find people who speak the language.
Bonjour classe. Pourquoi est-ce que vous aimez la classe de français? Oui, Mathieu de Monique.
J'aimais la classe de français parce que je pense que la langue française est très beau et parce que je veux visiter le pays français.
Bientôt, merci Mathieu, super, elle va visiter la France bientôt. Madeleine.
J'aimais le français parce que je prends la musique.
Oh, tu apprends la musique, merci. René.
J'apprends la classe de français parce que je peux parler avec les jeunes français.
Merci. Amadou.
J'apprends la classe de français pour toutes les beaux chansons.
D'accord, merci.
Students and parents always want to know about travel and whether or not we visit France or any Francophone countries. The answer to that question is that I've gone to France with students several times in the past, and we've also gone to Quebec as well. I'm working on a trip that will be ready within the next 2 years to Paris and to the south of France. But just to give you an idea of our last trip to France, here are some pictures. So we climbed the Eiffel Tower or La Tour Eiffel. We went to the Mont Saint-Michel, which is a gorgeous abbey that's on top, sort of like an island that you have to walk across the bridge to get to. We visited the American Cemetery that was created by the French to commemorate the soldiers from the United States who died on the D-Day invasion in Normandy. We go out to eat at restaurants, and we visited Versailles and the beautiful gardens in Versailles, which is right outside of Paris. Here's more of the Tour Eiffel. We did a macaron making class, and macarons are French cookies that are sort of look like sandwiches and are super delicious. We played pétanque, which is like a French version of bocce ball. And again, like just so many opportunities to eat delicious food and practice your French with people from France. So just to give you an idea of some of the things that we do, in French 1 this year, we made a monstre to learn different body parts. So students made monsters, put all these crazy body parts on them, and then had to explain their choices. This March, we did a music competition, a March Madness bracket for different songs from Francophone countries. And we learned about the artists who made the songs, wrote the songs, sang the songs, and we learned the lyrics as well. We learned about the message, watched the videos, and got to vote for our favorite song. We do things like read stories. So you might be familiar with The Giving Tree, the Arbre au Grand Cœur. This is the French version of the story, so something we do in class as well is do some reading. In upper level classes, we read Astérix. It's a bande dessinée or a comic strip, but it's historically based. So you get to learn about the history of France as we're reading the comic book with the Gaulois and the Roman Empire. Renoir is just one of the many famous French artists. There are so many, but we learn about French art. We learn about Impressionisme, and students also make art projects in class. I don't really use DVDs anymore, but this is just an example of Bretagne is a region in France. So we learn about the different regions in France and also different countries around the world that speak French or Francophone countries. And then we watch films as well. This is Ma vie de courgette, My Life as a Zucchini, which is a French film. We watch this in French 3, but we also watch films in French 1 and 2 and French 4 and French 5 because film is a really important part of language and gives you unique access to the culture from which the film is coming.
C'est la vie, la vie, dum dum. C'est la vie, dum dum. C'est la vie, dum dum. C'est la vie,
So whether it's travel, food, music, film, dance, or just the beautiful way the French language sounds, I hope you consider taking it next year in 8th grade. Merci d'avoir regardé la vidéo et au revoir.